Part 26. Fantasy, I Robbed Millions of Saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 255. Wang Tianlin's momentum is still rising. Only cultivators who have truly reached the Yunhai realm can experience firsthand what is the difference between the first level and the sky. Wang Tianlin's secret method only temporarily improved his cultivation level, but the effect was definitely incomparable with that of using one's own life to burn up. There is still a chance to make amends with the secret cultivation, but burning one's life will end in ashes. An 8th level martial king like Wang Tianlin can only reach the peak of the 9th level with his secret skills. If used by a cultivator of the Unity realm, it can even be promoted to a larger realm. Even a practitioner of the 1st or 2nd level of Yunhai realm can reach 3 minor realms. But Wang Tianlin felt that this was completely enough. He just wanted a quick victory, and deep down he didn't think Qin Changsheng had the strength to defeat him. A difficult opponent at best. The saints in the palace were anxious. "Young master, can you beat him? The old guy is so shameless, he actually uses a secret method." "Don't panic. I believe in the young master's strength, he must be confident. Look at how calm he is. Ready at all the time. If the situation goes bad, I will risk my life to protect the young master and escape. It's a pity that there is no one else present, otherwise they will be so jealous that they will go crazy. A woman who loves you and is willing to die for you is amazing enough. Qin Changsheng has so many at once. The quality is so top-notch." At this time, in the middle of the war, Qin Changsheng in the center said calmly, "You look like you are ready." "Just right." Wang Tianlin was still confused when he saw a large number of ancient characters suddenly appearing around him, and they rushed toward him like a swarm of bees. He could feel that the ancient characters contained the power of surging laws. Wherever he went, he was invincible. Even Wang Tianlin, who had reached the 9th level of cultivation, did not dare to face this attack rashly. A long knife was taken out from the storage space, and in an instant, the power of the avenue in the air was swept and absorbed crazily. "That's a king-level soldier. With the law of wind, the wind knife. Every attack will bring its own Gangfeng attack bonus." The sword energy swept by the strong wind and rushed towards the ancient characters. The powers of the laws were consumed and offset each other, and in the end only a trace of the sword energy was left. When Qin Changsheng saw that the wild wind knife had resisted the rune attack, not only did he not have any fear, but he nodded with satisfaction. He just lacks a king-level soldier who can take advantage of him. Unexpectedly, the opponent sent it. "Okay, the experiment has officially begun." Qin Changsheng casually waved his hand, and several complex attack formations crisscrossed and enveloped Wang Tianlin. Wang Tianlin never expected that Qin Changsheng was actually an formation master. Especially when the formation attacked, the golden color was flying all over the sky. Characters, that is the power of the formation laws that only saints can use. There are 2 levels of using and borrowing. Wang Tianlin's eyes widened, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes when he looked at Qin Changsheng. This time, he really a little panicked. "Not only did you use the harp to prove the Tao, you actually also used the array to prove the Tao." Even in the ancient times, when saints abounded, there were very few people who could simultaneously attain the enlightenment of 2 great ways. 19 years old, he is only 19 years old. He has seen geniuses and heard of monsters. But this kind of existence that is many times more powerful than monsters. What kind of person did the Wang family offend? Having had enough of admiring the other party's panic and fear, Qin Changsheng's voice reminded him again, "The game is over. The reason why it took so long is to let the surrounding residents see clearly that the 8th grade martial king, I also don't take him seriously. Pack them up quickly, I still need to collect the Wang family." Behind Qin Changsheng, a giant dragon several hundred feet tall suddenly appeared. It was Qin Changsheng's bloodline innate fire dragon king. With the blessing of both physical constitution and bloodline, Qin Changsheng was about to get serious. A fire dragon spewed out from the giant dragon's mouth, surging like a dragon. The flames almost burned a hole in the sky. Carrying the power of the law of fire, it burned towards Wang Tianlin in the formation without any hindrance. Wang Tianlin, who was already distracted, was directly hit by the fire dragon. The power of the law of fire was directly devoured. He and Wang Tianlin instantly turned into a fireman, and within a few breaths, they turned into a wisp of flying ash. They completely disappeared from the world. The 8th grade martial king was destroyed. Wang Changsheng did not understand until his death what kind of cultivation Qin Changsheng was. After finishing the work, Qin Changsheng returned to the palace and told Shang Guan Shishi to clean up the surrounding stations. There was such a big commotion just now, and as long as the station elders are not fools, they will not resist. Sci-fi Fei, Holy Master of Feiyu, Lin Miaoyan, the Holy Lord of Tianyin, and Wen Xinyu, the Great Elder of the Health Preservation Holy Land, walked straight to Qin Changsheng and said at the same time, "Let's go find the saint now." Sci-fi Fei's disciple Feiyu Saint, Lin Miaoyan's niece Tianyin Saint, and Wen Xinyu's health-preserving saint. They did so little for Qin Changsheng, but they enjoyed such good treatment. In my heart it's really uneasy. Several people had agreed to persuade them before, but Qin Changsheng was busy with work recently and didn't care about it at all. Although they didn't understand why Qin Changsheng wanted to accept so many saints, the young master said it's right. Just do it. Qin Changsheng raised his eyebrows and forgot about this saint. Sin. But since they are in Fei Yangqing City, when they go to Wang's house, let's collect them by the way. As expected, there was no resistance from the other stations, and even the elders personally came out with the treasures to welcome the robbery. The scene was extremely harmonious. The tools were already numb. They moved quickly, not daring or wanting to offend the devil, and carried them back and forth as if they were desperate. Shang Guan Shishi has long been familiar with these processes, and the liquidation is surprisingly fast. Now that the station has been cleared, I have marked all the sects that do not have a station, and I will go there after Fei Yangqing City has been cleaned. Of course, you can't let go of those who have a residency. Shang Guan Shishi planned the next route. The spirit stones were filled into the flying palace without any money, and Sci-fi Fei and others were directly sent to their destination. The three of them soon returned with the three saints, although it looked a little at a loss, but still willing. Qin Changsheng quickly browsed the information of the three saints. 2 were at the 5th level of the Unity Realm, and 1 was at the 6th level of the Unity Realm. Not bad. Throwing the 3 of them directly into the Linglong Immortal Mansion, Sci-fi Fei and others also quickly said goodbye and entered the Immortal Mansion to introduce the situation. Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master, you successfully robbed Feiyu Saint Cai, and the rewards are being calculated. Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master, you have successfully robbed the Tianyin Saint Lin Xiaoxiao, and the rewards are being calculated. Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master, you have successfully robbed the health-preserving Saint Chen Bingqing, and the rewards are being calculated. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 256. Qin Changsheng tried it again, that all-you-can-eat feeling. The mysterious feeling goes straight through the limbs and bones, and even the sea of consciousness can't help but tremble with pleasure. It has to be said that after eating 3 experience packs from the 6th level of the Unity Realm, almost instantly, he felt that a breakthrough was imminent. The surging spiritual power rushed directly towards the barrier. Finally, the barrier was broken and Qin Changsheng advanced. Yunhai Realm 8th Heaven. A smile appeared on Qin Changsheng's lips. After being promoted, he became more confident. Get ready, it's time to go to Wang's house to harvest. On the other side of the Wang family, the current head of the Wang family, Wang Mian, is pacing back and forth in the living room, with a gloomy look on his face. The father's action this time was suitable for him to pass the qi, and he also brought his second brother and his son Wang Xianjiao with him. As long as he thinks of the secret treasures and techniques that Qin Changsheng has collected, Wang Mian can't help but be excited. If the Wang family can get these secret treasures, the strength of the entire family will be greatly improved. By then, even if the three major families are tied together, so they can't be his rivals with the Wang family. But, why have they been away for so long and haven't seen them come back? It can't be, something happened, right? No. My father went there in person. What could happen if an 8th level martial king personally catches a little thief? There are probably too many treasures, which delays some time. Sir, there is someone outside asking to see you. The boy suddenly ran in to report. How could Wang Mian have the mind to deal with things now? He waved his hands impatiently and said, "Send him away, I'm not in the mood now." He was interrupted before he finished speaking, and a clear male voice came, "Haha, I'm afraid no matter whether you are in a good mood or not, our account will be settled." After saying that, a young man wearing a white skirt, the woman walked straight in. Before he could be shocked by the woman's beauty, his eyes were attracted by the calm young man next to him. The more Wang Mian looked at him, the more familiar he seemed. The person in front of him overlapped with a certain face in his memory. It was Qin Changsheng. "You, why are you here?" Wang Mian's face turned ugly for a moment and he asked in shock. When Qin Changsheng saw his reaction, he knew that the head of the family also knew Wang Tianlin's plan. If this is the case, don't blame me for being cruel. Qin Changsheng, he took out a knife from the storage space, waved it deliberately in front of Wang Mian, and said, "Does it look familiar?" Not only does it look familiar, it is his father's violent wind sword. The power of wind on the violent wind sword cannot be imitated. After Wang Tianlin died, it became Qin Changsheng's trophy. This was also his first king-level weapon. It's very memorable. Looking at Wang Mian, who was sweating dripping from his forehead, Qin Changsheng's nails repeatedly hit the back of the knife, and he said slowly, "This knife was given to me by your father, along with another thing. Guess what it is, Mr. Wang?" Wang Mian seemed to have thought of something, but did not dare to say it. "Your old father's life." Wang Mian was trembling, his mind going blank. He wanted to refute, but couldn't. If the two groups of people hadn't collided, how could his father's knife fall into Qin Changsheng's hands? He looked at Qin Changsheng with great horror. Is he really a young man under 20 years old? Even if he is an old monster, it is impossible to kill his father. How could the 8th grade martial king fall? In Feiyang King City, only the Feiyang City Lord who is half-step to the imperial level can kill his father. Could it be that Qin Changsheng is as powerful as the city lord? What do you want? Hearing the question, Qin Changsheng looked extremely innocent. "I didn't think about it, I'm always the passive one. Since you insist on asking me. Since you want to rob me, I will rob you no matter what." This is similar to what Wang Mian thought. Since ancient times, there have always been winners and losers. Now that his father has passed away, even if the Wang family can barely survive, it will be divided by the three major families sooner or later. "Take the things, can you spare the lives of my Wang family?" Wang Mian clenched and unclenched his fists, and asked with desire. Thinking that the entire Wang family was destroyed in his own hands, Wang Mian couldn't calm down. Everything was fine yesterday. How could it suddenly become like this? Shang Guan Shishi sneered and asked, "If you win, will you spare our lives? After all, you are the head of the family, can you be smarter?" Wang Mian growled low in his throat. "It was you who placed the ban on my Wang family first. He himself knows that anything he says at this time will be of no use. Extending one's head is a sword, and shrinking one's head is also a sword. Then, let's fight." Now that. Before Wang Mian finished speaking, a dim yellow lamp suddenly lit up above his head. The strong power of law is constantly escaping outwards. Wanting to hold up the protective shield, Wang Mian was horrified to find that he could not use the power of the avenue at all, and his cultivation was suppressed by the aura above. I'll send you to hell together. The graceful voice outlines the door to hell. The Dayunpom print smashed down from top to bottom, is the key to hell. Bang. After a crisp sound, the dignified head of the Wang family has turned into a puddle of flesh on the ground. Shangguan Shishi's white dress was not stained with a trace of dust. She slowly put away the lamp and said in a cold voice, "It's up to you. Are you worthy of negotiating terms with our young master? Don't you know what kind of cultivation you have? Even the father of the 8th grade martial king died, and you still want to play a loyal role. Haha, do you want to win some favor and go down below to continue to be elected as the head of the family? Bah! Shameless." Qin Changshen looked at Shangguan Shishi, who was acting more and more freely, smiled helplessly. Why is this becoming more and more like me? Shangguan Shishi directly released the king's domain and enveloped the entire Wang family. Some direct descendants were used to being arrogant. Even though they have become meat on someone else's chopping board, they are still yelling. They gathered in the courtyard and yelled in the air. "How dare you release the domain in my Wang family? Don't even ask about my Wang family's status in Fei Yangqing City. This is really unreasonable. Where have all my royal guards gone? Immediately inform the head of the family. You actually came to my Wang family to act wild and seek death. These direct descendants deserve to die in the first place, and now they are adding fuel to the fire." Shangguan Shishi took their lives with a few palms. The lucky ones who survived were all servants of the Wang family. Under Shangguan Shishi's arrangement, they were carried out in batches. The tools and people were also released. Looking at the huge courtyard of the Wang family, it was stained with blood and corpses were scattered everywhere. Haha, the 4 major families are just like this. So what if there is an 8th grade martial king? There is no way to hide the fate of being robbed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 257. Just when Qin Changshen was robbing in full swing, the 3 major families in Fei Yangqing City all held internal meetings. Inside the Li family of Fei Yang Wangcheng, the Wang family is directly enveloped by the king's domain, and we have no idea what's going on inside now. What else do you need to know? Now who doesn't know that the old guy Wang Tianlin has died? Are those people too unscrupulous? How blatant! The head of the Li family stood up with a slap on the case. Fear flashed across his eyes. What do you know? I think they just want to force us to help, and then find trouble to attack us. The head of the Li family is not a fool. There is a problem that Wang Tianlin, an 8th grade martial king, can't solve. If he goes there, he won't even be considered cannon fodder. As for his ancestor, the head of the Li family has made up his mind not to let him participate. Unless, the remaining ancestors of the 2 families join forces and take action together. If the 3 8th grade martial kings join forces, the other party will never take advantage. The ancestors are the foundation of their prosperity, and nothing will happen. Otherwise, the end, will be the same as now, same as the Wang family. The head of the Li family paced back and forth. Regulate the people in the family, and be low-key when going out recently, understand? Also, just collect as much information as possible on Qin Changshen. No matter big or small, I want all the information. A young man who can harden the 8th grade martial king. They can't afford to offend him. Know yourself and your enemy and you will never be in danger. No matter what. Be prepared with both hands. The other two major families also made the decision to avoid his edge first. The 8th grade Marshal King, all it has fallen, and they can't even see enough of it. No one is willing to risk their ancestors to fight for the chance. It is completely meaningless and has no benefit. If we can't afford to offend, we will hide. The liquidation of the Wang family lasted for nearly a day. Not only it was because the Wang family had plundered a lot of wealth, and more importantly, they were looking for the Wang family's private treasury. Shang Guanshishi felt very guilty about this. If she had known, she would have left one or two people alive, and she would not have been unable to find a place. In the end, when Mo Ran was serving Qin Changsheng to drink tea, he said something, and Qin Changsheng hurriedly came to Shang Guanshishi to ask. "Young master, this is my incompetence, please punish me." Qin Changsheng grabbed her and slapped her on the butt. Snap! It really should be punished. You don't know how to talk about this little thing. Are you afraid that I can't solve it for you? Or do you doubt your young master's ability? Shang Guan Shishi pouted, a little aggrieved. How dare I? The main reason is that those people are already dead, and the dead people's consciousness cannot read their memories. Qin Changsheng didn't say much, and took out the gukkan directly from the storage ring. He gently plucked the strings and listened to the melodious sound of the piano. Then Qin Changsheng said, "Have you forgotten that I can distinguish the position of the piano's music? Let me show you again." Ding ding, dang dang. The sound wave centered on Qin Changsheng's position, and began to feed back information in all directions without blind spots. Each feedback was slightly different. Qin Changsheng quickly realized that he could even perceive the specific quality of the object. Each time the piano sound, countless sound waves were emitted, and the large amount of feedback was enough for Qin Changsheng to draw inferences. In just a moment, Qin Changsheng had already reported the locations of several private treasury. Shang Guanshishi hurriedly took people to see it, and found that among them was Mrs. Wang's old lady. Dowry storehouse. This must be a bit too accurate. Everyone was in admiration. My young master is so powerful. He is so powerful that he is a bit of a monster. No, he is too monster. His ideas are not on the same line as ordinary people. Who in a normal person would have thought that the sound of the piano could identify the position? The sound of the piano could also be like eyes, seeing what was inside. Thinking about it, the saints blushed and tightened their clothes. And Qin Changsheng's influence did not stop there. These 2 days can be said to be the happiest days for the people of Feiyang City. The Wang family fell, and the dandy children of the other 3 major families almost disappeared. Occasionally, they were seen showing their faces on the streets, and it didn't take long for them to be the family took them back. It's so nice to have no one bullying the city. There are some very well-informed people in the city, so Qin Changsheng's feet spread quickly. This young master Qin Changsheng is a living god. How can we live such a good life without anyone else? No. If you ask me, that young man is like a god descending to earth. Which mortal child can kill an 8th grade Marshal King? If you say so, it's really possible. Please tell me more carefully. By the time this news reached Qin Changsheng's ears, he was already the most respected person in Feiyang City. The saints were very happy, watching the people praise Qin Changsheng as a god, even more than themselves. Be happy. They even expressed eagerly that as long as someone dares to bully the people, they must seek justice. Qin Changsheng was stunned when he heard this. What are you doing? Hey, your young master is a evil person, okay. Come on. What the hell is Tianxingdao? Fortunately, the saints' plan has not yet been implemented, and the 3 major families have not been caught by the tail of their fate. The Taoism and marriage conference is about to begin. Qin Changsheng was stunned when he heard the news. Recently he was so busy with his career that he had forgotten about this matter. Ling Mir was like a lark, chirping about the news he had learned. I heard that the first round of preliminary competition will start tomorrow. It will be a physical competition. The one with the highest physical fitness score among the two will stay, and the other will be eliminated. Qin Changsheng sneered and said, I don't know what those big sex holy places think of letting their saints and saints come here to participate in such a boring competition. It's better to fight directly, it's troublesome. Ling Mir's eyes widened and explained, they come because they want to become the most powerful saint son and saint girl. Holy Lord Fei Yang announced that the most promising holy son can become a Taoist companion with Fei Yang saint daughter. And the best chosen saint will become the new saint of Fei Yang King City. They will all enjoy the supplies provided by Fei Yang King City. They are treated as saints and have much more resources than they do in Fei Yang King City. Moreover, the relationship between the original sect and Fei Yang King City will also become closer. Otherwise, why would so many people flock to her? Qin Changsheng still can't arouse the slightest interest. Isn't this competition just a sex primary election? It's boring. Shang Guanshishi looked at him and covered her mouth with a smile, and whispered softly in his ear. Those saints who have not returned to their sect and are hiding in Fei Yang King City, will definitely come to compete and want to change their destiny. This is their only chance. As soon as he heard the word saint, Qin Changsheng immediately became energetic and said energetically, okay. Tomorrow morning we will go to the wedding reception meeting and wait and see. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 258. Fei Yang Wangcheng has been preparing for this marriage discussing meeting for a long time, and the venue is extremely well arranged. The competition stage is surrounded by formation marks. It must have been specially reinforced for this competition to better ensure the safety of the spectators. Moreover, each participant was given a specific position according to his or her status, and there was an unlimited supply of linguo-lingtia. The practitioners who came to watch the ceremony watched eagerly, their eyes widened. Oh my God! Did you see it? The fairy fruit offered actually contains ice spirit fruit. No way. I remember that at the auction of the ice spirit fruit, one cost at least tens of thousands of spirit stones. Tens of thousands of yuan per person. Fei Yang Wangcheng is really rich. I really want to join. Qin Changsheng came to the venue early for the first time today. In order to appear low-key, he even changed into moon-white regular clothes today. But when he entered the venue with Shang Guanshishi and Ling Mi, he still attracted everyone's attention. Even though Shang Guanshishi and Ling Mi wore veils, their exquisite curves and excellent temperament were still unforgettable. That is Qin Changsheng. Among the crowd who came to watch the excitement, someone recognized Qin Changsheng. There is no way, his voice in the city is too high now. There are already smart businessmen in the city selling Qin Changsheng's portraits. Listen. It is said that business is extremely hot and the crowds are bustling. Ah! Young Master Changsheng is indeed no mortal, his temperament is astonishing. People like Mr. Changsheng should be promoted directly. Only a fierce man like him is worthy of the flying saint. I really want to watch Mr. Changsheng compete in the ring. A young master like that can surely compete with the sun and the moon. The extremely popularity has brought inconvenience to Qin Changsheng. He originally thought of standing at the registration office and picking up a few experience packs himself. Now wherever he goes, there are a group of followers behind him. Qin Changsheng felt a wry smile in his heart. This change of uniform was in vain. Maybe we are not low-key people by nature. We had to let Ling Mi release the ghost puppets and let them focus on the saints who came to participate in the competition. But until the conference started, the saints who came to register also just 2 or 3. Holy Maiden of the Four Seas. Songyuan Saint. Wasteland Saint. Qin Changsheng looked at the news reported by Ling Mi and silently recorded it. 3 are fine, what kind of bicycles do you want? The others are probably on their way back to the section. I believe it won't take long to be in front of their section. See you. The marriage recruitment meeting officially started at this time. The person in charge went up to say a few words and immediately announced the start of the competition. But soon, the smile solidified on his face. The Holy Son, who was scheduled to conduct the competition in the morning, no one came. The person in charge took a deep breath and calmed down as soon as possible. As for those disciples of the sect, let them take the lead first. After saying this, he himself was stunned. Where are the disciples of the sect? Aren't they all given by that Qin Chang Sheng? Qin Chang Sheng is really too cruel. If a saint doesn't stay or tell the sect, the station was also destroyed. You pulled out carrots and caused harm to the land. No, no, no. You have to pretend you don't know anything. If you know but don't care, and let the murderer participate in the discussion meeting in public. With this reason, other sects unite. Even Fei Yang King City is not easy to explain. After all, he is the person in charge, and he is very experienced in saving situations. He directly asked his subordinates to find people to borrow from the three major families, and put on masks to participate in the competition. The test stone array only. They will give out the test results, but they will not mark the name of the tester themselves. It is not up to them to decide who will go up. The subordinates said a little embarrassedly, it's okay to borrow people, but, can they do it with their physical condition? If the children of the three major families have amazing physiques and bloodlines, there is no need to send invitations to the section. It will be easier for one of our own to be elected. I can't care about that much now. If no one comes up to participate in the competition, we will be even more unable to get off the stage. The person in charge's eyes fell on Qin Chang Sheng inexplicably. With such a young man present, how can such an amazing genius be revealed? It will only be a small piece of green grass to accompany the flowers. The three major families listened. After speaking, they naturally tried their best to help. After all, they were direct talents cultivated by the three major families. After they put on the masks and came on the stage, although they did not amaze the whole audience, they were not discovered by the people watching the ceremony below. The person in charge wiped his forehead. Sweat. The first and second levels test physical fitness and bloodline respectively. These two levels are easy to fool, and can be solved by asking these people to change clothes and wear different masks. The third level is a real competition. There are only two famous combat skills among the three major families, and they may be exposed as soon as they take action. It seems that this matter must be discussed with Holy Lord Fei Yang. Unfortunately, the careful disguise was still seen through by someone with an intention. The direct descendants of the three major families often bully men and women in the city, and there are too many people who know them. It can be said that people are similar in height and shape, and it can be said that they have the same physique by coincidence, but, the auras on their bodies are all different. There is no difference. What else can be hidden? Combined with the rumors in Fei Yang King City, the eyes of thoughtful people were looking at Qin Chang Sheng intentionally or unintentionally. There was admiration, fear, and respect in their eyes. Such a devil, they would definitely. I dare not provoke him. The reason why I had the courage to look over was because I wanted to remember his face. This face is 100 times more beautiful than the one in the portrait. When I go back, I will warn my wife, children, relatives, and friends, and stay away immediately when I see him. If you can't avoid it, treat him well. Serve the ancestors. Isn't it good to live a good life? Qin Chang Sheng didn't know what other people were thinking. He saw the empty tables, chairs, and benches around him, and he was still wondering why these people had such no sense of time. Shang Guan Shishi's eyes almost rolled to the sky. Have you forgotten the identities of the people you killed before? The banquet of more than 20 saints, all served in one pot. How can you come to the competition on time when they have all been killed by you? You are really dressed like a skeleton. The scene was so scary. After Shang Guan Shishi reminded him, Qin Changsheng sighed. There were too few of them, and the fight was too brittle. More than 20 saints and saints from the sect's Holy Land came to Feiyang King City to participate in the Dao discussion conference, but there are still too few. Besides, the sect is not a big cabbage, and they walked into a large field. The sect's Holy Land has always been filled with spiritual energy. A sufficient location either has spiritual veins or a built cultivation formation. I don't know how many people care about this kind of place, and the sect that can survive will not allow anyone to rub the spiritual energy next to it. Over time, it has become a neighborhood, a tyrant on the continent. There are more than 20 sects, which is a quite large number in the eastern wilderness continent. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 259. Look. In the direction of the Holy Lady's mansion, that's the Holy Lady Feiyang, the Holy Lady is coming. So beautiful, although I have long heard that the flying saint has excellent qualifications and extraordinary appearance, this is the first time I see her in person. That's natural, not only does the flying saintess have excellent qualifications, she also practices extremely hard, and rarely appears in public. Otherwise, how could you think she could have reached the 9th level of unity at such a young age? It's a pity, I don't know who will bring trouble to such a wonderful beauty. Tisk, tisk, why is there something wrong with her cultivation? Who says otherwise? Under the guidance of Master Feiyang Liuvang, everything should be smooth sailing. Pity. Suddenly there was a commotion among the crowd watching the ceremony. Then he saw a girl in a goose-yellow dress flying towards the palace in the royal city. There was no powder on her Qingguan face, and her water-like eyes were neither sad nor happy, just like a flower hibiscus flower in water. Hibiscus comes out of clear water, and the carvings are naturally removed. The flying saint is here. She is indeed the saint of my Feiyang royal city, with outstanding grace. Our saintess is not only beautiful, but also has the strength of the 9th heaven of the unity realm. Who would be dissatisfied? After Feiyang saint appeared, the words of praise continued to echo from the crowd. However, Feiyang saint Yiziazu ignored it and still had a cold and indifferent attitude, and her beautiful eyes were cold. Ling Mir didn't know if she was jealous, but she pouted and muttered softly, isn't this reputation too fake? Could it be that she doesn't need to practice and just goes out and does good deeds every day? Qin Changsheng couldn't help but look at her with laughter, and then looked into his mind. The system information has sent Yiziazu's information. Name, Yiziazu. Physique, innate wind spirit holy body. Bloodline, bloodline of Fenjiun martial king. Realm, unity realm 9th heaven, perfection. Combat skills, 8th grade Xian level combat skill Fengqiun hiding technique, perfection. 9th grade Xian level combat skill Lingfeng sword technique, perfection. King level combat skill Fengyun Ji Huiju, perfection. Tisk tisk tisk. Qin Changsheng is very satisfied with the huge experience package of Feiyang Saint. Not only the holy body, the king level bloodline, but also the king level combat skills. If I eat this Yiziazu's experience package, I'm afraid I can be promoted to the Star Tibetan Realm Emperor rank. Join the saints. Meet the saint. Those who participated in the marriage recruitment meeting also began to salute to the flying saint Yiziazu. As they got closer, everyone saw that Feiyang saint was wearing a piece of soft armor. The rich golden brilliance was constantly flowing, and they could clearly feel the power of the avenue emanating from it. 9th grade Xian level soft protective armor. With such soft armor to protect her body, I am afraid that a master of the 5th level of Yunhai realm like Shang Guan Shishi would never be able to harm her within a few moves. It seems that the rumor that this woman is extremely favored by Holy Lord Feiyang is not a rumor. Well, no need to be polite, just get started. Flying Saint Yiziazu said lightly, and then sat in her seat, waiting for the final competition at the marriage recruitment conference. Qin Changshen looked at this flying saint, and always felt something was strange. Weird. Why does it feel like she has no interest at all in this marriage discussing conference? She even feels a little disgusted. And judging from her appearance, she seems to be indifferent to everything around her. I don't know anything, as if I just came out of seclusion. Okay, the marriage-seeking conference, the real ultimate competition, begins now. As long as men meet the requirements, they can go directly to the martial arts stage for a one-on-one duel. The final winner is expected to become the Flying Saint's Taoist companion. The person in charge announced. But, at this moment, another voice did sound. I think this final showdown, there is no need to proceed. I want this little maid, Fei Yang Saint, too. The person who spoke was naturally Qin Changshen. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Damn it, no. This ruthless man actually won't even spare the Flying Saint? He also wants Fei Yang Saint to be his little maid. It's okay to deal with the sex Holy Land for a few days, and even the Wang family. After all, this world is a survival law of the jungle, and Fei Yang Holy Lord may not want to take care of it even if he knows about it. But, he dared to tempt Fei Yang Saint girl. This was a provocation to Fei Yang Martial King. That's right, although King Fei Yang Wu is in seclusion, today is the big day for Saint Fei Yang's turn to find a bride. With King Fei Yang Wu's love for the saint, he will definitely come out of seclusion. This kid really has the heart of a bear but the courage of a leopard. Crazy, this guy must be crazy. It's not like you're looking for death. How big does it feel to him to let the Flying Saint be his maid? There was an uproar among the crowd watching the ceremony. Although they had long suspected that this ruthless man might have thoughts about the Flying Saint when he came here. But, everyone thought that this guy was going to participate in the Taoism and marriage recruitment conference, and then he directly crushed other people with his strength and became the candidate for the Taoist companion of the Flying Saint. This is also the reason why many people, including the other three major families, have not dared to act rashly. Who can guarantee that this guy will he really become the Taoist companion of Fei Yang Saint? I never thought. This guy actually wants Fei Yang Saint to be his little maid? Be bold. Qin Changshen, don't be so arrogant, you can blaspheme the Flying Saint. I don't care about the Wang family's affairs, but if you dare to be disrespectful to Fei Yang Saint, please don't blame my three major families and kill you. Three voices suddenly came from the surroundings. Then, the figures of three 8th-grade martial kings appeared proudly in the surrounding sky. They were the three ancestors of the remaining three major families. They have long been there. Thoughts, they wanted to take action against Qin Changshen, but they were quite wary. But now, this guy dared to act wild at the Fei Yang Saint girl's wedding ceremony, and the three of them finally couldn't sit still. This guy, even the Flying Saint girl was afraid want to rob. Obviously, he is provoking King Fei Yang Wu. If the three of them don't take action, how long will it take? Even if King Fei Yang Wu comes out, he will not blame the three of him, but will reward his family. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 260. Buzz. 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 A trembling sound came from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The 8th-grade martial kings of the three major families all knew that Qin Changshen's fighting power was very powerful, so they immediately activated their bloodline and physique. Of course, they are quite confident about this stop. Because they understood in detail the battle between Qin Changshen and the ancestor of the Wang family. They all believed that Qin Changshen's cultivation and combat power was actually at the 8th level of Yunhai realm at most, and might even be at the 7th level of Yunhai realm. It's just that this guy's physique and bloodline seemed to be extremely powerful, so he was able to suppress the ancestor of the Wang family so miserably. The three of them jointly attack, it shouldn't be a big problem. Boy, suffer death. You burned, killed, and looted in Fei Yangqing City. I, Li, have tolerated you for a long time. Qin Changshen, I will collect all the blood debts on you today. The ancestors of the three major families roared again, and then launched attacks at the same time. In an instant, pillars of spiritual energy shot up into the sky, and three completely different combat techniques attacked Qin Changshen's position from three directions. The crowd watching the ceremony were all frightened, including the children of the three major families who came to make up the number to participate in the meeting on Taoism and marriage. There are many of them and they don't quite understand the situation. Unexpectedly, the ancestor of my family would actually attack that young man? But the one who is most confused is the flying saint Yi Xiaozu. Her marriage discussing meeting can be said to have been held under semi-coercion. Because she is very confident, she works hard to solve her own problems and breaks through to the Yunhai realm. But I don't know what happened to my master, who had always loved him. This time, his attitude changed drastically, and he made this decision resolutely, making it impossible for him to refuse. In desperation, Yi Xiaozu could only work hard to retreat, hoping that her physical problems could be solved before the Taoism and Marriage Recruitment Conference, so that the Taoism and Marriage Recruitment Conference would be invalidated. Unfortunately, she didn't succeed. So I had no choice but to come forward and accept this marriage discussion conference. My face was cold, and my heart was stagnant. Because she didn't like it very much, this feeling of destiny being arranged. She thought, the wedding ceremony would go on smoothly. She was already mentally prepared to face a man she was not very familiar with. Who would have thought, that a guy would suddenly appear and say that there was no need to hold a conference on Taoism? And this guy also said that she would be his little maid? Before Yi Xiaozu could get angry, the three major families suddenly jumped out. Then the ancestors of the three major families, the three 8th grade martial kings, actually attacked that guy named Qin Changshen with all their strength. What exactly is going on? Who is this Qin Changshen and what has he done? Just when Yi Xiaozu's mind was in chaos, the ancestors of the three major families surged in front of Qin Changshen with attacks and madness. I saw the power of the great avenues sweeping through the world like a tide. And Qin Changshen is a small boat in the midst of all the stormy waves. He looks very small and pitiful. Everyone was a little stunned. Why is this guy still not moving? Especially Yi Xiaozu, who is paying attention to Qin Changshen. He even felt a little desperate for Qin Changshen. Under the full attack of the three 8th level martial kings, this guy was probably frightened out of his wits. He even forgot about resisting and avoiding, and he was still drinking tea. But the next moment, everyone's brains were completely frozen. I saw Qin Changshen finally moving. He stood up with a smile on his face and glanced at the ancestors of the three major families. And the next moment, a crimson Dao realm barrier suddenly propped up from Qin Changshen's body. As the Dao realm barrier was raised, it was like a dazzling sun suddenly rose from the huge waves in the sky. All the huge waves surrounding the sky solidified and collapsed in an instant under the brilliance of the sun. Boom! 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 The attacks from the ancestors of the three major families were all crushed by the Dao realm barrier. Puff puff! Almost at the same time, the three 8th level martial kings in mid-air vomited blood and staggered in mid-air. They were obviously injured by the backlash from the force of the shock. How is it possible, why are you becoming stronger again? Impossible, impossible, in Fei Yangqing City, how can you still hold up the Dao domain barrier like this? What is this going on? I don't believe that you were, not so strong just 2 days ago. The 8th grade martial kings of the three major families vomited blood one by one and said in horror. Although the tone and sentences of the three people were a bit confusing, the central thoughts were very clear. How come this guy has become stronger again? Including some people watching the ceremony, this thought flashed through their minds at this time. This ruthless man seems to have really become stronger again. He is much stronger than when he killed the ancestor of the Wang family. How much do you know? As for the flying Saint Yiziazu, at this time, a pair of beautiful jade faces were full of horror, and the beautiful big eyes were full of unbelievable fear. That guy named Qin Changsheng. She had just been asked to take action by the three major families, and she was extremely curious. Later, she saw the guy sitting there motionless, and asked whether the ancestor of the three major families was too aggressive, and actually did something to a young man. Such a huge means. And in her heart, she had already determined that Qin Changsheng would definitely die. Who would have thought? In just an instant, the situation took a shocking turn. That guy, actually held on. He set up a Dao realm barrier and directly shocked the three masters of the three major families, the ancestors of King Wu, to the point of vomiting blood. Originally, I had no interest in your three major families. After all, you don't even have a saint. But since you are so ignorant of praise, I can only let my little maid rob the three of you as well. Qin Changshen's faint voice came, to everyone's ears, it seemed to be the voice of a devil. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 261. Ransack 3 of my homes. Boy, do you know that this is Fei Yang King City? That's right, don't think that just because you have some improvement in cultivation, you can do whatever you want. If King Fei Yang Guo knew about the destruction of the Wang family, he would not let you go. Do you still want to take action against my three major families? After the three ancestors of the three major families heard Qin Changshen's words, although there was still blood on the corners of their mouths, their voices were not weak at all. With the move just now, although Qin Changshen's combat power was unexpectedly powerful. But they, the three major families, as the ancient families that have stood in Fei Yang Wangcheng for many years, how can they not have some trump cards? In a real fight to the death, it is not certain who will live and who will die. Besides, this is Fei Yang Wangcheng. Such a huge battle will definitely wake up King Fei Yang Wu. Will King Fei Yang Wu allow this kid to be so rampant? Others also deeply agree with what the ancestors of the three major families said. King Fei Yang City, for all of them, is indeed a sacred and inviolable place. However, Qin Changsheng didn't say anything when he heard this. With a thought in his mind, Qin Changsheng's Dao domain boundary was filled with turbulence, as if time had changed, and among all the Dao realms, the power continued to gather and solidify. In the end, all the power of the Dao turned into long swords. In an instant, a blast of murderous aura came from Qin Changshen's Dao realm barrier, one after another. Sword rays soared into the sky. Before anyone could react, tens of thousands of sword rays enveloped the ancestors of the three families. You madman, how dare you? The law of the sword, you actually understood the law of the sword, a swordsman saint? Impossible. My Li family surrenders. Three completely different voices came from the three ancestors. At the same time, the voices of these three people were extremely urgent, and they only said a few words before they stopped abruptly and disappeared completely. After the sword light in the sky dissipated, there were only three masses of blood mist filling the air, and there were no traces of the ancestors of the three families anymore. The voices of the three of them just now were their last sound in this world. Hiss. No. It's not. 3 8th level martial kings were killed instantly. This ruthless man, why should he be so cruel? That is the ancestor of the three families, the cornerstone of the three major families. After the Wang family, the other three families, I'm afraid they will also be doomed. It's over, it's over. But, it's a bit too scary that it's over so quickly. This is really a ruthless person, I was so scared that I peed. What's even more frightening is the information revealed in the words of the three ancestors just before they died. The sage of swordsmanship, this guy actually understood the laws of swordsmanship. After ancient times, the opportunity is gone. Isn't it said that it is difficult to attain enlightenment and become a saint? What's more, the way of swordsmanship, this is the way of law that was extremely powerful and extremely difficult to prove in ancient times. I'm really going crazy, where did this Qin Changsheng come from? Did it really come all the way from the east? Among the people watching the ceremony, gasps came and went. Everyone really stood there stunned, not daring to breathe. Although they had thought that with the character of the ruthless Qin Changsheng, they might not be beaten by the three. The big family was frightened and wanted to fight. But they never expected that, the three 8th level martial kings would be directly obliterated by that guy in a single thought. You are very strong, we have known it for a long time. But we really didn't know that you would be so strong. Including Fei Yang Saint. At this time, her beautiful eyes were widened to the extreme, and she looked in disbelief as the ancestors of the three major families died tragically. Direction. There, even the blood mist just now is about to dissipate. As the heroine of this marriage discussion meeting, she feels that her head is confused now. This guy named Qin Changsheng, what on earth is this guy named Qin Changsheng like? Who is he and where did he come from? And, what happened during the past few days when I was in seclusion? Why did I listen to the meaning of the words of the ancestors of the three families? Another family among the four major families, seems to have been destroyed long ago. And it was completely destroyed. Miss I'm here to talk to you, this Qin Changsheng. A few days ago, he suddenly came to Fei Yang King City, but not many people paid attention at that time. But, suddenly one day, one of Fei Yang Saint's maidservants seemed to have noticed her young lady's doubts. She came up to the side and explained to Fei Yang Saint what Qin Changsheng had done in the past few days. At the beginning, it didn't sound like much to Fei Yang Saint. The more she listened, the more frightened she became. The more I listen, the more unbelievable, this guy has done so much in the past few days. Not only did he rob the saints of the major sect masters' holy places, killed the saints, but also, robbed other people's residences, including the Wang family, one of the four major families. Moreover, there is news that, this guy came from the east and looted all the way. All the saints, even some beautiful saints and great elders, were not spared, and they all became his little maids. Listening to the past, combined with the scene just now, it makes the heart of the flying saint tremble endlessly, and the whole person is a little doubtful about life. She is a majestic saint, I thought she was already a talented and decisive person of the younger generation. But compared to this guy, it's nothing to mention. And just when Fei Yang Saint was extremely shocked when she heard about Qin Changsheng's past, there was another person at the gate of the secret room of Fei Yang Palace, who was also listening to Qin Changsheng's deeds. This is an old man wearing a brocade robe, but his hair and beard are already snow white. Moreover, his figure was stooped and his face was covered with dense old wrinkles. People who don't know, when they see this old man, they will probably think that he is a dying man who is trying to survive. And those who know, will probably be in awe when they see this old man. Because he is the city lord of Fei Yang Royal City, the strongest ruler of Fei Yang Royal City. In the 9th level of Yunhai realm, King Fei Yang Wu, Ye Fei Yang. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 262. So now he has killed 4 8th level martial kings in Fei Yang City. Ye Yang looked at his subordinate expressionlessly, and his wrinkled face looked at him without any fluctuation. Yes, yes. The subordinate who came to report said tremblingly. Who doesn't know that King Fei Yangwu's temperament is hard to fathom? If King Fei Yangwu is angered, he will not be the only one to die. Where is Xiaozu? King Fei Yangwu raised his eyebrows. King Fei Yangwu attached great importance to Yi Xiaozu's talk about marriage. Even if the entire Fei Yang King city was wiped out, Yi Xiaozu would not die. Saint, female, saint, saint. Explain. King Fei Yangwu looked at the hesitating subordinate in front of him impatiently, with a hint of impatience in his majestic eyes. The subordinate knelt down in front of King Fei Yangwu, and tremblingly told King Fei Yangwu what had just happened. What? I want to grab the Xiaozu. A terrifying aura rose from the sky. The aura of the 9th level of the Yunhai realm was hovering crazily in the mid-air. This terrifying aura was like a wave sweeping towards the place where the bride was invited to the wheel. Under this aura, people were discussing the path to get married. The nearby cultivators were trembling and trembling. This is because the real target of this aura is not them. If they were cultivators in the Unity realm or even the Sea of Qi realm, facing this terrifying wave of the avenue, I am afraid that their entire body would instantly collapse. Will be crushed into a puddle of flesh. This is the strength of the 9th level of Yunhai realm. Qin Changshen, dressed in white, looked at the terrifying waves of the avenue in front of him. His eyes remained unwavering, but he became slightly impatient. This, what is it? You have been fighting for a long time and you are old, and you are not finished yet, right? Qin Changshen looked at the huge waves in the sky impatiently. The waves in the 9th level of the Yunhai realm are comparable to those in the 3 Yunhai realms. The strong men in the 8th heaven are much more terrifying. The onlookers who were cultivating looked at Qin Changshen standing in front of the waves and shook their heads subconsciously. Qin Changshen may be really defying heaven and can kill 3 8th level martial kings at his current age. Still in Fei Yang King City. It can be said that he is not a monster. But this is Fei Yang King City, but there is still the more powerful and terrifying Fei Yang Martial King in it. Everyone looked at Qin Changshen as if he was frightened, and they looked motionless. In front of them were the terrifying waves condensed by the power of the Great Avenue. Many people looked at Qin Changshen's back and shook their heads with regret. There was definitely no hope of survival. Qin Changshen could kill 3 8th level martial kings, but Fei Yang Martial King could do the same. What a pity for a generation of geniuses. Of course, there were also many cultivators who were gloating about his misfortune and looked at Qin Changshen. Especially the people from the 3 major families wished that Qin Changshen would die quickly at the hands of King Fei Yangwu. Although there is no 8th grade martial king sitting in the family. But with the foundation of the 3 major families, and their development in Fei Yang City over the years, even without the 8th grade martial king, they can still become the top family in Fei Yang City. The dandy children of those families can still live a carefree life. So, die quickly. As for Yi Xiaozu, she looked at Qin Changshen with a slightly complicated expression. If Yi Xiaozu was angry when she heard that Qin Changshen wanted to make her a slave before, she saw Qin Changshen crushing the 8th grade martial queen of the 3 major families in Fei Yang City. She treats Qin Changshen. There seems to be a slight fondness for it. And how old is he? 19-year-old Yunhai realm 8th heaven. The combat power is surprisingly strong and can directly crush 3 people in the same realm. This was the first time Yi Xiaozu had heard of such a person in the entire Eastern Barren continent. If you can follow him. It seems pretty good. The terrifying waves condensed by the power of the Great Avenue have now pressed in front of Qin Changshen. Just when many cultivators thought that Qin Changshen was resigned to his fate. Qin Chang is alive. He took out the Guqin from the storage space and gently waved the strings. Many practitioners nearby were stunned. Was Qin Changshen really scared to death? Or was it that he felt that he could not withstand the blow of King Fei Yangwu, so he simply gave up resistance and played a song for himself to send him away? Behind Qin Changshen, Shang Guanshishi looked at Qin Changshen worriedly. Although my young master is very evil. But this time he was facing King Fei Yangwu from the 9th level of Yunhai realm. Qin Changshen is just the 8th level of Yunhai realm. Facing the Fei Yang martial king of the 9 heavens. Still she couldn't help but worry. As for Qin Changshen, at this time, he was sitting cross-legged in the air, with the guqin placed on his legs. Like a direct immortal, he played mysterious transparent ripples that hit the waves condensed by the power of the avenue. As Qin Changshen's undulating speed on the strings increased, the number and speed of the transparent ripples also continued to increase. Long transparent ripples hit the waves formed by the power of the avenue. This is piano, the way of the piano. The onlookers' cultivators reacted instantly when they saw this terrifying aura. Why can Qin Changshen still understand the way of the harp? No. Can't he become a saint? The surging waves were echoed by the fine sounds of the harp. The song was shattered like a spider web. The waves condensed by the power of the avenue were disintegrated by the sound of the piano inch by inch. Just when the waves formed by the power of the avenue were about to collapse, an old figure appeared above the huge waves. The waves were like a high wall in an instant after stabilizing. Even if Qin Changshen heard the transparent sound of the piano hitting the top, there would only be white marks. Qin Changshen. Looking at Qin Changshen, who possesses such terrifying strength at such a young age, a trace of ecstasy flashed in King Fei Yangwu's eyes. Why did he, who had always doted on Yi Xiaozu, insist on forcing Yi Xiaozu to hold this discussion and marriage? He needed to choose a talented and young cultivator. He has been in Yunhai realm for too long, and he must find a new body for himself when his lifespan is about to expire. As a 9th level practitioner of Yunhai realm, martial king, he is obsessed with the feeling that everyone is dormant at his feet. How could he be willing to succumb to the restrictions of Shaoyuan? He wants to live. Continue to be Fei Yang martial king. Until he breaks through the Star Tibetan realm and becomes an emperor-level practitioner, he will continue to become the martial emperor of Fei Yang city, who is above 10,000 people. And Qin Changshen, a 19-year-old 8th level cultivator of Yunhai realm, who still masters the way of Qin and several trump cards, isn't this his best choice? And his own Saint Yi Xiaozu? He has been coveting it for a long time. And the girl next to Qin Changshen and the saints who were taken away by him can become his playthings by then. Qin Changshen raised his head and looked at the information about King Fen Yanggu, who was above him, with a smile on his lips. Name, Ye Fei Yang. Realm, Yunhai realm 9th heaven, 9th grade martial king. System, innate wind spirit holy body. Bloodline, the bloodline of the 9-soul fox king. Combat skill, the 8th grade Xian level combat skill Tian Diao Roar, perfection. The 8th grade Xian level combat skill martial Sorju, perfect. The 9th grade Xian level standing skill Hafengju, perfect. The 1st grade king level combat skill wind spirit Daoju, perfection. Note that this person has a short lifespan. Qin Changshen has already guessed why Tian Fenyang wanted to hold this marriage ceremony. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth and he shouted loudly at Tian Fenyang. Fei Yang martial king Ye Fei Yang? Very good, another one to die. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 263. The cultivators watching the battle in Fei Yang King City looked at Qin Changshen in the sky in disbelief. Is this guy really out of his mind and crazy? Do you still dare to be arrogant in front of Ye Fei Yang, a 9th grade martial king? Do you really think that by killing 3 8th grade martial kings, You are going against the will of heaven? At this time, Ye Fei Yang, who was standing on the waves, looked gloomy. Okay, okay, okay. Ye Fei Yang looked at Qin Changqi and smiled anxiously. Who dared to speak to him like this for so many years? As the city lord of Fei Yang Royal City, a 9th grade martial king. Ye Fei Yang's own strength can crush Fei Yang everyone in the royal city. What's more, the entire Fei Yang Royal City is under his control. Qin Changshen, right. 19-year-old 8th grade martial king, even I have to praise you as a genius. Ye Fei Yang's old white hair was fluttering in the wind, and soon a powerful force made King Fei Yang Wu's appearance begin to change. In just a few seconds, King Fei Yang Wu turned from a white-haired old man into a strong middle-aged man. Is this what you really look like? Qin Changshen murmured. But, I'm afraid this legend will disappear today. Ye Fei Yang finished speaking indifferently, and a realm of kings suddenly rose around him. 100 miles, 200 miles, 300 miles, until 900 miles, the terrifying auras spread out without reservation, crushing Qin Changshen. And left. Ye Fei Yang burned his last life force and regained his peak. Faced with Qin Changshen, who killed 3 8th-level martial arts kings, Ye Fei Yang naturally could not take it lightly. Ha, old thing. Qin Changshen smiled disdainfully. He really didn't pay attention to a 9th grade martial king who was about to live for a long time. Who are he? The saint killer who robbed the Holy Land and occupied the saint. This Qin Changshen is dead. With King Fei Yang Wu's tyrannical strength, it would be easy to kill Qin Changshen. The legend of Qin Changshen finally ends today. I don't know how many holy places this big devil has plundered and how many saints he has robbed. In any case, the legend about him that started today will end. The cultivators around looked at Qin Changshen, who was enveloped by the realm of Fei Yang martial king, and said with great excitement. They had all heard of Qin Changshen's deeds. Especially after robbing so many holy places and saints. Maybe King Fei Yang would be happy that they could get a saint girl, and then he might be able to enjoy the services of a saint girl. Just imagining it makes many people get excited. After cultivating to their level, they can enjoy most things. But I haven't tried the taste of a saint yet. Court death. Because of his longevity, King Fei Yang Wu has always hated others discussing his age and longevity. Qin Changshen actually dared to call himself an old man in front of so many people. A strong wind spread out in King Ye Fei Yang's domain, and a terrifying force composed of endless avenue rules roared towards Qin Changshen. Fei Yang Guavong is mighty. Many King Wu of Fei Yang City looked at Ye Fei Yang excitedly. In their eyes, Qin Changshen will definitely die. Only Fei Yang martial king, a 9th grade martial king, could achieve such a terrifying scene. Many cultivators who were watching looked at the scene in shock. The power of the avenue formed a strong wind and roared towards Qin Changshen from the 9 heavens. The entire sky was shrouded by the rules of the avenue of King Fei Yang Wu. But Qin Changshen remained indifferent. Standing in mid-air. You are not the only one who has the realm of kings. As soon as Qin Changshen finished speaking, a golden king's domain suddenly appeared in King Fei Yang Wu's king's domain. Looking at Qin Changshen's king's domain full of the power of various avenues and the rules of heaven and earth, King Fei Wu's expression condensed. King Fei Yang Wu is letting off steam. The cultivators who were watching looked at the king's domain revealed by Qin Changshen in disbelief. Just looking at the king's domain revealed by Qin Changshen, everyone understood that Qin Changshen's king's domain was much more powerful than King Fei Yang Wu. After all, it was saints who have become saints in the way of the piano and the way of the sword. The power of laws contained in the queen of the king's domain is obviously stronger than that of King Fei Yang Wu. But that's it? The middle-aged King Fei Yang Wu sneered as he looked at Qin Changshen's king's domain, which was no more than 100 miles away. The flying power condensed by the great avenue in the sky suddenly increased, and it kept blowing on Qin Changshen's king's domain. 100 miles, isn't it enough? Looking at Ye Fei Yang's disdainful eyes, Qin Changshen touched his chin and said hesitantly. What about now? The king's domain surrounding Qin Changshen suddenly opened up, and Qin Changshen's king's domain continued to expand. 200 miles, 300 miles, 400 miles, until it covered the 800 miles of King Fei Yangwu's domain. Then it slowly stopped. Hiss. Millions of cultivators in Fei Yang King City looked at the scene in disbelief. Qin Changshen, actually, opened his own king's realm in King Fei Yangwu's king's realm. And he was still in Fei Yang King City. Ordinary Hyun, it was extremely difficult to open up the king's domain in Fei Yang King City. But Qin Changshen was able to resist the pressure from Fei Yang King City and Fei Yangwu King and forcefully open up his own king's domain. This guy. King Fei Yangwu looked at Qin Changshen with a gloomy expression. A strong wind suddenly appeared behind him, and the voice and shadow of King Fei Yangwu disappeared in front of everyone. It was like turning into a strong wind in the air. This is, the innate wind spirit holy body. Qin Changshen looked at the scene in front of him with interest. It seems that the ability of Ye Fei Yang's innate wind spirit body is to be contained in the strong wind in the air. Moreover, the power of the surrounding strong wind is also constantly increasing. Interesting. Looking at the scene in front of him, Qin Changshen roughly sensed that Ye Fei Yang's holy body should be weaker than his own and Shang Guan Shishi's holy body, but it is still very powerful. But, it's just strong. Qin Changshen smiled faintly. A nearly 10,000-foot mad dragon suddenly appeared behind him. Qin Changshen's strength has improved a lot since the last display, and the size of the mad dragon has also grown crazily. King-level bloodline, and it is the king-level bloodline of the dragon clan with the strongest power among the legendary holy beasts. How can this be? Hidden in the wild flight, Ye Fei Yang looked at the mad dragon in front of him in disbelief. Who is this Qin Changshen who has such bloodline? As soon as the nearly 10,000 feet mad dragon appeared, the surrounding space continued to collapse under its giant claws. Regrouping. Qin Changshen looked at the howling wind in front of him and smiled coldly. His hands came together as if preparing to cover something. Doesn't he want to gather Kuang Fei together? Many of the cultivators looked at Qin Changshen's scene and said in shock. Is it possible? Fei Yang Martial King is a terrifying strong man in the 9th level of the 9th level of Martial King Yunhai realm. Such a terrifying strong man will all fall in the hands of Qin Changshen? King Fei Yangwu also felt a fatal danger, and his figure appeared in the strong wind. A violent flying force condensed in the mid-air to form a figure. But you are not the only one with blood. After King Fei Yangwu finished speaking, a howl that shocked the ages suddenly sounded. A huge phantom appeared in mid-air. The Nine-Spirit Fox King. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 264. A gigantic-sized spirit fox swayed its 9 tails and hung in the air, raising its head and roaring. Slightly smaller than the spirit fox, the mad dragon sensed the spirit fox with the same king-level bloodline, let out a confused dragon cry, and looked at the spirit fox warily. King-level bloodline. Yes. King Fei Yangwu also has the bloodline of a king. Moreover, the fighting power of the 9-star spirit fox may not be as fierce as that of the mad dragon, but it is notoriously difficult to deal with in the king's bloodline. In addition, Fei Yang Martial King is the Martial King of the 9th level of Yunhai realm, so his strength must be stable. The cultivators in Fei Yang King City looked at the scene in the sky with terrifying pressure. The pressure generated by the bloodline of the two kings made the legs of cultivators who were not at the Yunhai realm unable to help but feel weak. Wang, not everyone can have the bloodline of the king class. Moreover, these two have the blood of the king class monster beast, 1 dragon and 1 fox. The void around them is constantly collapsing with every move. If it is not for the power of the world's rules to continuously maintain, now their surroundings have long become nothingness. That's it? Qin Changsheng smiled lightly, and a terrifying fire dragon appeared in the air again. The fire dragon wrapped the mad dragon, and the blazing flames attached to the surface of the mad dragon. The mad dragon raised its head toward the sky and let out a roar. A dragon roared. The giant dragon, surrounded by fire armor, angrily charged towards the nine-soul fox king in the sky. The way of fire. This guy, it turns out, he is also the enlightened saint of the way of fire. According to the information, he is only 19 years old. At the age of 19, he has become a saint in the way of piano, sword, and fire, and he is also an 8th grade martial king. Can there really be such a strong young man in this world? Millions of people in Feiyang City looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Since ancient times, it has been extremely difficult to achieve enlightenment and become a saint. It is even almost impossible for many people. But Qin Changsheng, not only did he become a saint, and so far, everyone in Feiyang City has seen 3 of them. The way of the piano, the way of the sword, the way of fire. All attain enlightenment and become saints. Could this guy Qin Changsheng really be the legendary son of the plain? But even so, he shouldn't have such a terrifying talent. He is just a 19-year-old kid. Ye Yang looked at Qin Changsheng solemnly. Qin Changsheng's current combat prowess is not weaker than his at all. If I'm not careful, I may not be able to seize Qin Changsheng's body, and I may even be killed by him. That's right, King Feiyang Wu is still thinking about seizing Qin Changsheng. In fact, as long as someone sees the strength displayed by Qin Changsheng, it is really difficult not to be tempted by Qin Changsheng's talent. Moreover, Ye Feiyang is sure that as long as he succeeds in seizing Qin Changsheng, he will most likely enter the Star Tibetan realm that has hindered him for thousands of years. After breaking through to the imperial level, he has a lifespan of 10,000 years. With these 10,000 years, he is enough to carve out a world in that area. As long as he is given enough time, I believe that with his own efforts and Qin Changsheng's talent, he will be able to create the first emperor-level holy land in this area. It's a pity that Qin Changsheng will let him get his wish. I originally thought that you were a junior with such talent, so I could have let you go. But if you are so arrogant, don't blame me for being ruthless. King Feiyang Wu looked at Qin Changsheng and said indifferently. He said it as if he had really let Qin Changsheng go. The 9-star spirit fox king in the sky was still fighting fiercely with Qin Changsheng's mad dragon. But the 9-star spirit fox king was because of Ye Feiyang has the strength of Yunhai Zhongtian, plus he is a difficult character. Although the current 9-soul fox king is at a disadvantage, he can still entangle the mad dragon for Ye Feiyang. It turns out that King Feiyang Wu had just recruited Qin Changsheng. No wonder Qin Changsheng could persist in front of King Feiyang Wu for so long. Thinking about it, with King Feiyang Wu's strength, it only takes a matter of minutes to crush Qin Changsheng, but now Qin Changsheng's attitude has completely angered King Feiyang Wu, and King Feiyang Wu seems to be going to kill him. The direct lineage of Feiyang King City looked at the 9-soul fox king who was clearly at a disadvantage in the sky, and said without conscience. In fact, they can all see that from the beginning to now, King Feiyang Wu has not held back at all. But King Feiyang Wu is so he must have his own trump card, and he might be able to kill Qin Changsheng with one move. Oh, Qin Changsheng looked at Ye Feiyang. A huge sword suddenly appeared in the sky, and a terrifying aura condensed crazily in the air. The power of the world around him began to become violent, and the eyes of the 9-minded Fox King appeared. A touch of fear. It truly sensed the threat of death in this terrifying giant sword. A shrill scream once again came from the mouth of the Spirit Fox King. The Spirit Fox King escaped from the mad dragon at the cost of losing 2 tails. He broke free and appeared, ready to escape into the distance. But, a giant sword struck its head mercilessly. Before the spirit fox king could even utter a cry, he was slashed into nothingness by the terrifying giant sword. This. The cultivator who had just been praising King Fei Yangwu suddenly shut up. I couldn't help but have a terrifying thought in my heart. King Fei Yangwu will not really be killed today. King Fei Yangwu felt a pain in his chest. The killing of the nine-soul fox king would also affect him, but this did not affect his real fighting ability. He knew that if he didn't make a last-ditch effort, he would definitely be defeated by Kuang Long and Qin Changsheng. Boy, since you insist on seeking death, don't blame me. King Fei Yangwu's long hair moved without any wind, and his robes were blown by. The first-grade king-level combat skill Wind Spirit Questioning Technique. King Fei Yangwu's eyes exuded a fierceness. His originally dark hair quickly turned white, and his strong body became shriveled again. With his short lifespan, using such powerful martial arts consumes his original power. The same power is also extremely terrifying. Terrifying storms blew up in the sky across Fei Yang Royal City. The terrifying power of the avenue wandered violently in the air. The warrior with low strength has begun to have difficulty breathing. In the violent storm composed of the power of the earth, a ferocious human face appeared in mid-air. It looked at Qin Changsheng and pounced ferociously. Under this terrifying power of the avenue, even the giant dragon in the sky couldn't help but start to tremble. This boy must die. Millions of warriors in Fei Yang City looked at the terrifying aura in the sky and said firmly. Only Qin Changsheng. He still stood in mid-air indifferently, looking at the ugly human face in the sky. A wave of heat exuded. Ice lotus appeared in mid-air. Although it was an ice lotus, the hot temperature it radiated made everyone feel like they were in a sea of fire. This is, Ye Fei Yang, who had returned to his old form, looked at the ice lotus in front of Qin Changsheng in disbelief. Qin Changsheng smiled indifferently, and the ice lotus went straight towards the terrifying face. It's over.